Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. How y'all been? I think it was Tuesday when we talked last, but we're back with our finishing up our 5 P's, right? And maybe I was gonna say maybe one of the most important P's, all right? But they all are, right? So if you've been following along, great. I appreciate that a lot. I know we've gotten a lot of views on some of these videos, and that's awesome because it's really, really good stuff, really important stuff in my eyes. Not that I'm good, but the 5 P's, if you follow that strategy, I think it'll make your life better. And I know it's made my life better, and run with it, right? Do what you want with it. So what are the 5 P's, Jim? You ask, right? I'm glad you asked. We started off with purpose, okay? It was a good one, and I got really into it, and toward the end of it, my passion really flowed out of there, and that which led us into the second P, which is passion. So, this is just an idea that I picked up in a book I read somewhere, on how to get ahead in life, and that's up to you. Maybe you're good, but it talked about defining your purpose. Okay, why are you here? All right. Once you do that, get passionate about that and make it happen. Right. You got to have passion. You got to have excitement. I talked about one of my most favorite books in the world is from a guy that was written in the 20s. He was an insurance salesman, previous Major League Baseball player. Talked about it's How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Frank Betcher. Okay, but he's talking about you got to get excited. You got to have passion. You got to get excited about everything you're doing if you want to be successful at it. That makes sense, right? Okay. Third, we talked about what path. What path are you on? Once you figure out what your purpose is, okay. And I switched them up a little bit because originally it was purpose, passion, potential. Define your potential, and then once you do that, what path are you going to take? And tonight we're going to finish it up with the progress, but I switched them around. So I did purpose, I did passion, then I did path because I had made a change in my path. All right, and just know that whatever path you're on, if it's not working, if it's not satisfying to you, if it's not giving you the results that you want, you can change. You can change it no matter where you're at in life, whether you're 3, 13, well, maybe not 3, but 13, 33, 53, 73, hike, right? And even if the path you're on is going well, always be aware, and we're going to talk about it tonight, progress, right? And I'm going to put another little spin on that, and we could do a whole series on this, but as you're traveling your path, what kind of progress are you making? Now, we threw potential in there, all right? Potential came next. Maybe it comes before choosing your path, but my point on my talk about potential was that we all have tons of it, whether we realize it or not. And if you aren't reaching your full potential, maybe you need to change the path that you're on to do that. And it could just be the way you think. It could be the decisions you make, the actions you're taking. It's easy to stay busy, but are you getting results? Okay. Even if you apply it to a family life situation, not so much. I keep thinking career because it's like I work. I'm a junkie. I love to work. Ask my wife, right? I love to work. I can't sit still. I can't even take a vacation. If I do, I want to work or make that part of that. But always, if you're not satisfied with where you're at, check your progress. So that's where we're at tonight. So plan, do, check, adjust. A mentor of mine a long time ago, very successful, okay? Part of his teaching to me was, Jim, you have to plan what you're going to do. Then you have to take the action to do it, right? Nothing happens if you don't do it. Like you miss every shot you don't take, right? Okay? Plan, do. And then you got to check that progress, right? Okay? Check your progress. Are you getting the results to the goals you set? Okay? That could be at work. That could be with your spouse. It could be with your kids. It could be in everything you do in life, all right? Like I'm gonna do this, okay? This is what I want to do, okay? This is how I'm gonna do it, all right? And while I'm doing it, is it working? Okay, is it not working? And then That's the progress part. And if it's not, then you adjust. You make adjustments. Maybe you change your path. So Oren's teachings are almost the same as the 5 Ps, but all the letters don't rhyme, right? So they're not the same. So plan, do, check, adjust. That's PDCA, okay? Plan, do, check, adjust. And I really like that. And Oren taught that you have to, anything you're doing to be successful, you got to put 10,000 hours into it. It's 5 years. That's 5 years of a 40-hour work week, 50 weeks a year. Okay? 10,000 hours to perfect your trade, to perfect your relationships, to perfect your learning. Okay? Anything that you do in life, you need that 10,000 hours before you really have it figured out. Now, you could take it one step further, and people say, well, practice makes perfect, right, Jim? Does it? How about perfect practice makes perfect, okay? Because if you're doing something wrong, that's where you're checking your progress. If you're doing your task wrong, you're not going to get the results. Like my kid, he was racing motorcycles, and it's always tough to teach your own kids, right? It's always better for someone else to teach them. And I never really paid much attention because, I raced some motorcycles. I rode all my life. My son loved to race motorcycles, okay? He loved to do other things too, and I was more excited about that than maybe the racing. And maybe that wasn't fair to him. Maybe I was making a judgment. David, what's up, brother? Good to see you. But I was out one night, we're practicing, right? And he's going into a corner, and he was young. He was just a kid. He was like 10, maybe 11, and I never told him. No one ever told him. He's like upshifting coming into a corner, into a turn, thinking that was the way to execute the turn faster. It's like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I said, you got to be downshifting coming into there, so you got more torque, more coming out, right? He's like, well, why didn't you ever tell me, Dad? Plan, do, check, adjust. It's just an example, You can be a salesperson. If you're doing it wrong, it ain't gonna work, right? Or if you're just doing things to keep busy, because fear comes into play, right? Fear's a big thing. Like, say you have to call 100 people a day to try and sell your product. Or maybe you need to solicit and call, and that's old school, right? It's texting now and emailing, more texting, more whatever, AI, and I don't know. I just talk to everybody, Talk to 5 people every day about your passion, about your purpose, and you'll be successful, okay? And we used to have a thing, like you got to make 20, like in sales, 25 contacts a day. Real estate. You got to have 25 real estate, and it depends on your goals. How many homes do you want to sell here? How many cars do you want to sell? How many houses do you want to build? Whatever you're doing. How many people do you want to date? Whatever the case is, how much weight do you want to lose? Okay. All right. You have to plan, you have to do it. You have to check your progress, because we're talking about P today, the last P, progress. And then you have to make adjustments. Like, I was talking to one of my old sales managers for real estate, my buddy Dougie, and Dougie don't get on the book very often, so he probably won't see this, but haven't talked to Doug for maybe 2 years again, and Doug taught me so much. He was the best, man. And even the guy he worked for, Ryan, and Quentin, Q, you guys were awesome. Me and Q, we used to a little bit, but that, you get ahead right that way. You throw things at each other and you yell a little bit, and maybe it comes out better in the end, right? But, like Doug's always, I talked to Doug the other day for the first time in a while, and I called him about something real estate related that was different to our area here. And I just wanted his advice, because Dougie's always been there for me, right? Okay? Doug. And we talk about that for a while, and then he asked me, how's it going, man? How's it going up there in the hills? I said, it's going great, man. He says, what's your average sale price, Jim? And it's like, Doug, how many units you sell last year, Jim? It's always about, and it's funny because, like, after I threw a number and I was close, I was really close, okay? But I didn't know. I knew I was kind of maybe close, but I didn't know. Quick math in my head, right? And I thought, dang, Dougie always got me checking my progress or helping me set goals. Like, how much money do you need to, like, so, because I don't get a paycheck, right? Okay, I don't get a paycheck. I don't go punch a clock and get paid an hourly wage or a weekly salary or monthly or annual salary. If I don't perform, I don't make any money, So, when I went to work for their firm 2014-ish, I think, 13, 14, I don't know. I'd already been in real estate maybe 5 or 7 years, and 6 or so years, okay? And I really didn't learn until I got there. Like I'd been in sales all my life, okay? From the time I was just a young kid, because I was selling stuff when I was a teenager. I wasn't supposed to be, but then I got a job selling motorcycles, and I sold, and I thought I was really, really good at that, and then I must sell real estate, right? Okay, and I got this piece of cake, I had no clue what I was doing, all right? Or I wouldn't listen to the people. Maybe I wouldn't listen to the people that were telling me what to do, because I was afraid. Talk about that fear again. I was afraid to do what I needed to do to get the results. Okay? So Doug's like, how much money do you want to make, or do you need to make in a year? Because we got to support our families, right? And it's different for everybody. One guy lives better on 50 grand a year than the next guy does on 500. It comes down to what you spend too. Because you make more doesn't mean you have more. Okay, more isn't always more. Okay, all right. I'm getting off progress a little bit. I'm just trying to be helpful here. I like to teach, and I told my wife this is going to be short. Can you pause your TV show, baby? Because I'm only going to talk for 5 minutes. Oh, she's not even there. She left the room. I hope she's still in the house. She's left the building, man. She's gone. All right, she's watching that other late night TV host. Okay. Anyhow, we won't go there, will we? Right? Canceled. Jim Bull's show just got canceled. Anyhow, what was I even talking about? How much do you need? How much do you want to make? What's your goal? How many pounds do you want to lose? How much? Whatever. Okay. So Doug's like, okay, so you got to reverse engineer it, like with the spacecraft that crashed in Roswell. They got them in the bunkers, and the government doesn't have, right? And there's no aliens, trust me, on the flat Earth, okay? But anyhow, I'm trying to have some fun, man. I started slow, but I'm on a roll now. Kicked into third gear, David, on my CR480. You know about that, brother? Okay. Third gear, you only need second and third. That's all you needed, okay? But anyhow, got to reverse engineer. What do you want to make? Okay. How much do you make per sale? Okay. What's your average sale price? What's your average commission? Okay. How many sales do you need to make? How many homes do you want to list? How many buyers do you want to work with? Okay. So what's your ratio for your appointments, Jim, when you go out and talk to people about listing their homes? How many do you get? Do you get 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, 8 out of 10, 1 out of 100? It's different for all of us. Right? It's different for all of us, but you have to track. I go back to that 10,000 hours to become an expert. You got to track your progress. Okay. Last year I sold 15 homes. Okay. It's just a number I threw out there. It was more. Okay. So last year I sold 25 homes. Okay. How many were listings? How many were buyer sides? How many were both? How many people did you have to talk to get those listings? And it's a little different now where, the market's been a little weird later. But it would be no different than selling cars or selling furniture. How many sofas you got to sell this month to make the amount of money you want to make? How many slabs of meat out of the back of your pickup truck? That's a gross example, right? Okay. How many girls you got to date? You find the one you want to marry. I don't know. Be responsible about that. I'm not telling you to do anything you shouldn't. I'm a God-fearing man. All right. Praise Jesus. But I'm getting to moving, man. I'm getting my groove on. I'm getting into a groove. I can tell we go another half an hour here, right, David? You still watching? Maybe no one else is. I don't know. Please share these around. Go back and watch. Facebook only leaves these here for 30 days, okay? So, and we're going back probably 3 weeks for when we started with Purpose. I did download the first 3, I believe, put them on my YouTube channel, Jim Bull Talks, just like Jim Bull Talks on Facebook. So they'll stay there. Like YouTube, they can't handle, or they're not just dealing with all the content. They're taking their live videos down every 30 days. So I got to get the last one and this one downloaded, because I'm just doing this live. I'm not actually recording this on the device and get them put up on Facebook. So we started with purpose. What's your purpose in life? Whether it's career related, whether it's family related, whether it's volunteer related, whatever your thing is, all right? Get passionate about it, all right? Check out your potential. Just know that we all have way more potential than what we believe, okay? And if you need help with that, let me know, or talk to someone who teaches on that, or, you really, Like years ago, people told me, Jim, you ought to get a coach. It's like, I don't need a coach. What are they going to teach me, right? Okay? I wholeheartedly believe in coaching. And I'm not a paid coach, but I believe that, and if you don't pay a coach, get around, like I just changed my path. Just changed my path. Inside of my career, I didn't change careers, but I changed the path for my career, okay? Because I wanted to get around other people who were maybe smarter than me, more successful than me, and maybe it's not even that. Maybe I'm the smartest guy in the room. Maybe I sell the most, okay? All right? But just to get around like-minded individuals, you know, maybe you're a contractor, right? Okay, I do contracting and I nail my finger, I hammer my fingers and bend them up, you know, okay? I need to get around something like I had to build, I'm building out a little room, a little new office space in the bottom of our building here, right? And called a couple guys, how busy are you? It's like 3 months, $1,000. I need 2 little walls, right? You know, just because it takes me away from my other chores. And the third guy said, just do it yourself, Jim. I don't know how to do that. He says, well, let me help you with that. Here's what you need. And, you know, I would have been in there trying to hammer some 2x4s together, right? And sliding all over the place and saying some words I shouldn't be saying. And Rick says, get yourself some 3-inch decking screws and one of them fancy drill bits that you don't have. And bzzz, and I'm down here, my wife's helping. I'm like, wow, this actually works. Get around people who are smarter than you, that know more about you, even if you got to pay them, if you want to get there quicker. Okay, maybe you want to take 20,000 hours to be successful. Maybe you want to take 5,000. Like even with kids, you know, like my kids are 30 and 33-ish, maybe 34, 19, 34. Yeah, okay. I'm still learning on how to be a good parent. You never quit learning. You got to always check your progress. You got to find your purpose. Get passionate about it. Figure out you got the potential to do it. Pick your path. You can change your path. That's okay. But then check your progress. Plan, do, check, adjust. Check your progress. And if it ain't working, change it. If you don't know how, ask someone to help you. Okay? I'm in my 17th or 18th year, 2009. I'm in my 17th year. Okay? Selling real estate. And I've learned more this year than I did probably in the last 5. And that's just from doing, just from going out and performing my tasks. Okay? You have to do. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Okay? Just do it. Just go for it. Okay? Ask someone to help you. Say a little prayer before you go. Like me, I'm dumb. Like I forget. I'm sorry, God, I forget. You know, I do things 2 or 3 times and it don't work and I stop. I'm like, Lord, please let it work this time. Guess what happens? Magic in that, brothers and sisters. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go because my wife, I want her to come back into the house. All right? You know, maybe if I talk long enough, I get her to go out there and wash the dishes or something. No, I'm going to be in the doghouse for that because she hears everything I say. It's not she'll watch this later and hear it. So, love you later.